This video is designed to be used for airport qualification into Dutch Harbor Airport. All distances given will be in nautical miles, all headings magnetic, and all elevations MSL unless otherwise specified. This video must be used in conjunction with Alaska Airlines' latest approved flight manuals to ensure that all information is up to date, that company procedures are consistent with the published FAA procedures, and that obsolete procedural material is not included. Dutch Harbor Airport is located in the Aleutian Island chain, 690 miles from Anchorage. Terrain within 30 miles of the airport is quite mountainous. Two active volcanoes in the approach are Akutan at an elevation of about 4,200 feet and Makushan at 6,680 feet. Use caution during eruptive periods since ash clouds may drift into flight path areas. Peaks within 6 miles include Tabletop Mountain, Pyramid Peak, Mount Coxcomb, Mount Newhall, and Split Top Mountain. Most notable is Mount Ballyhoo, located directly adjacent to the runway at 1,634 feet. The grooved runway at Dutch Harbor is 3,900 feet long with a 200-foot overrun at each end. It is 100 feet wide with an elevation of 22 feet MSL. Water at both ends of the runway is 60 feet deep. Runway 12 is equipped with medium-intensity runway lights, runway end identifying lights, and VASI on the left side. Runway 30 is equipped with medium-intensity runway lights, runway end identifying lights, and VASI on the right side. There are stoplights at the approach end of runway 30. All lights are actuated on approach by keying your mic 7 times on 122.6. Dutch Harbor Airport maintains Class A firefighting equipment. They also have a grader, broom, Tapley meter, and urea for runway de-icing. The terminal is located on the southwest side of the runway. As you turn into the ramp area, the fuel pit is located off to the far right. Natural hazards at Dutch Harbor include birds flying in the vicinity. Seagulls and bald eagles are prevalent due to the fish processing facilities in Unalaska. Recent efforts to control waste from the plant and processing ships have reduced the problem, but caution is still advised. In addition, rocks may roll down onto the runway from Mount Ballyhoo. Current traffic in the area includes a 737 and Beech 99 operated by Mark Air, an Electra operated by Reeve Aleutian Air, and a Metro 3 operated by Penn Air. Amphibious aircraft include a Goose and a Caravan. Alternate airports for Dutch Harbor are located at Cold Bay, 155 miles away, and at King Salmon, 442 miles away. Both runways are more than 10,000 feet long. Both offer ILS, VOR, and back course approaches. Both have Class A firefighting equipment, graders, brooms, and urea for runway de-icing. Both also have fuel and passenger facilities. King Salmon is equipped with approach and center radar, while Cold Bay has center radar down to 10,000 feet altitude. Weather information at Dutch Harbor is available 24 hours a day via AWOS 3. Alaska Aviation Weather Service is available daily from 0530 to 1730. Snow removal and airport condition reporting operate daily only during duty hours unless by prior agreement. At Dutch Harbor, measurable precipitation falls on more than 200 days a year. Average annual precipitation is 58 inches, which includes 81 inches of snow. There is rarely more than 1 to 2 feet of snow accumulation, though. Routinely caught between weather systems from the Bering Sea and the North Pacific, Dutch Harbor is often draped in fog with frequent storms and high winds. Average summer temperature range is 40 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Average winter temperature range is 27 to 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Rain and snow showers in the Dutch Harbor area are cyclical, usually in 12, 15, or 20-minute intervals. You should ask the Dutch Harbor Weather Observer about shower intervals during your approach so you can time aircraft touchdown during optimum conditions. With snow on the runway, you should ask about runway Tapley reports. Tapley should be 0.41 or above for all approaches. For wind conditions, 3 windsocks will be mentioned during approach phase by the weather observer. Approach end 30, approach end 12, and midfield. All are important for interpreting landing runway and type of circle conducted. Listen carefully to the observer and ask if in doubt or confused. This wind sector graph represents criteria for use in making approach decisions into Dutch Harbor. An in-depth discussion of turbulence associated with this chart will be conducted in class. There are certain conditions that should be noted though. Winds from sector AA can produce specific problems. The first is a wind from 330 degrees mag to about 020 degrees mag. This condition will cause wind to slide down Ballyhoo on 2 sides. It will then come together to strike the water about 200 feet right of center line of runway 30. Watch closely for watercolor and intensity. It is usually gusty and you can expect plus or minus 10 to 15 knots with winds approaching 25 knots. Stay slightly left of center line until about Rocky Point. This will allow you to avoid the large wind shifts and turbulence. Also, a left-hand circle over the city inside gives you the advantage of lower ground speed as you turn final and less turbulence throughout the approach. The most hazardous condition involves a wind from 060 degrees mag to 105 degrees mag. The resultant wind comes down and around Ballyhoo to strike the water on the approach end of runway 12. Watch closely for watercolor and intensity. It can be both gusty and steady. A 20-knot wind should be considered the limit for safety. Also, a sharp downdraft can be present over runway 12 numbers and end markers. The windsock at the approach end of 12 can be limp or variable during this wind condition. Remember, watch the water, plus or minus 10 knots from target speed, and again, watch for sharp downdrafts over the numbers. A third condition from 030 mag to 050 mag can cause a peculiar result. The wind will wrap itself around Ballyhoo and converge on both approach ends. For example, 120 degrees at 10 knots at approach end 30 and 320 degrees at 5 knots at approach end 12, giving you a tailwind condition from either runway. Go home. A landing profile will not be achievable. 3 other situations should also be mentioned. The first is wind from 105 mag to 230 mag. These winds can give light to moderate turbulence on approach to runway 12. On departure, make a right-hand turn on takeoff over Unalaska City and out Wide Bay and Broad Bay to intercept a 346 bearing off the Dutch beacon, through 7000 on course. Do not go out Iliuliak Bay because it will be turbulent. A wind from 240 mag to 285 mag is simply a left crosswind. Turbulence is usually light. Approach from Iliuliak Bay is standard under these conditions. A small wind vortice may exist at the approach end of 30 caused by a cement building off to the left-hand side. On departure, there are no peculiar problems. Finally, winds from 285 mag to 330 mag produce light turbulence up to 35 knots. Caution if using Ilialiuk Bay, since abeam ballyhoo, there will be light to moderate turbulence until turning final for 30. Then it will smooth out. If going inside, over the city, watch ground speed on downwind. There are hills beyond the city, so start your turn to final based on ground speed. As you turn into the wind, ground speed decreases rapidly and you'll have to adjust landing profile with power. During certain windy conditions, a phenomena can occur in Ilialiuk Bay. At 40 knots or more, black water can rise into a waterspout. Watercolors will be included in all hourly sequence reports from Dutch Harbor. Caution is advised during these conditions. North to northeast winds 40 knots or more will produce waterspouts in Ilialiuk Bay. West winds 40 knots or more will produce waterspouts in the Hog Island and Wide Bay areas. For approaches into Dutch Harbor, Cold Bay VOR and DME will be used for azimuth and distance information out to the Horth intersection. At that point, we will be conducting a NDB DME Charlie approach via the Horth transition to VFR conditions. ATC procedures after Cold Bay will probably be out green 8 via the 236-degree radial to Mordai, 82 DME from Cold Bay. From Cold Bay to Mordai, minimum en route altitude is 9,000 feet. From Mordai to Horth is 54 DME, a total of 136 DME from Cold Bay. From Mordai to Horth, minimum en route altitude is 6,000 feet. Normally, plan to cross Horth at 10,000 feet and 210 knots indicated airspeed. Horth intersection will be identified by the 40 DME and 166-degree bearing off Dutch Harbor NDB, and the 136 DME and 236-degree radial off Cold Bay VOR. At Horth, your radar should be operating in the map mode on the 50-mile scale using the second scan. Intercepting the 166-degree bearing inbound to Dutch Harbor, you can descend to 2,200 feet. At 25 DME, you can descend to 2,000 feet. Move the radar to the 25-mile scale at mid-course. On the 25-mile scale, locate Priest Rock, Cape Kaletka, and Princess Head. Also, locate Cape Cheerful and the tip of Eider Point. At low tide, the reef at Eider is clearly defined. At 10 DME, for left-hand traffic to runway 12 or 30, descend to 620 feet with 3 miles visibility. For right-hand traffic to runway 30, descend to 1,960 feet with 3 miles visibility. As you approach 6 DME, go to the 10-mile scale and adjust the antenna tilt to strike the wavetops for a slight water return. This position will give the location of any shipping in Ilialiuk Bay or Wide Bay. Also, denote ground speed as you proceed inbound to Unalaska Bay. Locate Hog Island, Ballyhoo, and possibly Captain's Bay and Devilfish Point. The radar should also be used for return information on all departures. Missed approach involves an immediate left turn to 2,000 feet via Dutch Harbor NDB 346-degree bearing to 15 DME and hold right-hand turns. An approach to runway 12 is used whenever winds are from 090 to 220. The approach begins on a heading that will take you past Eider Point, located at the base of Tabletop Mountain. A waterfall located just north of Eider Point provides an excellent reference inbound. During winter months, snow on Tabletop Mountain will generally extend to the shoreline.
Mark here 12 for clearance. How soon is he going to be ready to go?
Could you let me know, Bill, what Mark here looks like as far as being getting ready to get out there?
Negative. They're past your ladder hill people down.
Okay, very good.
Gear down, 15 lanes.
Gear down. Left coming to 15. Full stop. Here we go. Start switches.
On,
Recall.
check.
Speed brake.
On, green light.
Landing gear.
On, three green.
Flap. Good to go.
15.
All right. Oh, this time. Go a little bit upwind so that as you come...
Passing over Eider Point at 1,100 feet or VFR. Gear down, landing check, flaps 15.
Use more power to stay on the profile as you
At low tide, waves on the reef will be clearly visible.
come on and bring it back.
Should winds be gusty out of the west, you should pass Eider Point more to the left to avoid turbulence.
Everything you've got to say. Go 25.
25, select.
Notice the ship at anchor in Wide Bay. Ships at anchor on all approaches are good indicators for wind direction and speed. They should also appear on radar and can be used as references.
Flaps 30.
30. Now you can feel the wind now. Feel the wind through your hands and the stick. And use the power to start slowing down and getting that drag on. That's the key. You're going to nip the tip of Hog Island because of the wind today.
Turning toward Hog Island,
A little rough.
Devilfish Point and Captain's Bay are visible in the background.
40's coming.
Flaps 30.
Check. Flat. 40 green light. Checklist complete. You've got your that.
Turning to final, runway is in sight at the base of Mount Ballyhoo, just to the left of Hog Island. To activate runway lights, strobes, and cross-runway traffic lights, key your mic 7 times on 122.6. Flaps 40. Complete the landing check. Altitude approximately 400 feet, descending at 500 feet per minute. This descent should take you over the north end of Hog Island at an altitude of 275 feet. Winds from the south above 15 knots will cause risers at this point. On the Vazzy, on speed. Remember, winds from the east can be dangerous. Water should be watched for gust and turbulence information. Downdrafts over the approach end will exist with winds greater than 15 knots. Touchdown, speed brakes, 2 lights. 1.6 target EPR for reverse, calling out 100 knots, 80 knots, and 60 knots. On rollout after touchdown, cancel runway lights, strobes, and traffic lights by keying your mic twice. Also, contact Cold Bay Radio to cancel your flight plan. Should you need to contact ATC on the ground, they are available on 124.4. A right-hand approach to runway 30 is preferred when winds are 285 to 360. From 6 DME, this approach enters Iliuliak Bay passing Cape Caletka and Princess Head. Passing to left of frame is Cape Caletka. At 12 o'clock, Princess Head.
Altitude instruments and seatbelts.
Okay, we got the 297. Phase 1 is done.
Phase
We got
2,
2971.
Constantine Bay at 12 o'clock.
Feet right down.
And Split Top Mountain.
It can fix
Stowed, stowed, ADF September, both on the standard gauge. We'll go with that. Okay, let's do phase 3, 21, 26.
21, 26, and 36. Set. About 1,000 feet in here. To 1,100 feet.
A beam split top mountain at 1,400 feet or VFR, gear down, landing check, and flaps 15.
Maybe we ought to get the gear down, because the brakes are, gear down, let me check, flaps 15.
Latitude 9130 is split top for runway 30 condition check.
Ahead is Summer Bay, Mount Coxcomb, and Mount Newhall. Staying fairly close to these mountains will maximize time for your turn to final.
Okay, here we go. Start switches.
Okay, they're on,
Recall.
check,
Speed brake.
arm relight,
Landing gear.
is down, complete green.
Okay, flaps. Okay. Like flaps you go. Okay, right in here you should be 600 feet. A little bit low.
Okay, let's go flaps 25, flaps 25.
That's right.
Flaps 30, flaps from 30.
Okay, we're a little bit, we want to hold this altitude, with our speed back, right around target top. That's right. And aim for Newhall Creek. There you go.
The garbage dump extends from the base of Mount Newhall into the water.
For Newhall Creek. Straight for that. You want to be over Newhall Creek, start
Newhall
Newhall
Creek
Creek, about 600. Okay, now look at your spot over here. Pick your spot out.
Abeam Newhall Creek at 600 feet, flaps 30 or 40. As always, monitor water conditions and ships at anchor for wind conditions.
Okay, start your turn for final. Okay, I'm going to
Okay, we're gonna use max braking and full stop on this, aren't we?
That's correct.
Turning to final, landing check complete.
You haven't made that decision, have you?
Key mic 7 times on 1226 to activate all runway lights. In view, the town of Unalaska, the fuel docks, then Rocky Point.
Back on the right. That's right. I'm working. You're a little low. Up. I want to get back on profile. Back on profile.
Altitude 200 feet over Rocky Point. On target, on the VASI. Touchdown, speed brakes, 2 lights. 1.6 target EPR for reverse, calling out 100 knots, 80 knots, and 60 knots. Cancel all runway lights by keying mic twice. Contact Cold Bay Radio to cancel flight plan. ATC is available on the ground at 124.4. Escape over runway 30, out Wide Bay into Unalaska Bay.
About 5 knots on that. Well, we didn't have to go. Okay.
Okay, lights, sir.
Oh, hold on.
A little bit of a tail.
Just a little bit. Okay, we'll taxi back down here, and then we'll get off the runway for Reed.
A left-hand or inside approach should be used with winds from 330 to 050. The profile segment starts at Eider Point, through Wide Bay and Broad Bay, over the city, and past Rocky Point.
Flaps 10. Selected. Okay, there is split top, right off to the right. Correction, left. Jeez, I didn't even remember.
Now, is that the white with the white snow on top?
That's split top. Valley View right here. Valley View right dead ahead. See Valley View right over here?
Eider Point at 1,100 feet or VFR.
Go around, say, nice and wide. Notice the boat there. See, it's a windsock. It's your windsock. As you go into the
Through Wide Bay and Broad Bay.
That's right. Yeah, used to be, yes. They still probably, you tell me what you're going to do?
So we're gonna go around the city and go out through Valdo, back
Very
door.
good. Okay, I'm with you.
Let me get some wind off these hills here.
That's right. Notice the water. Watch the water. See where it's telling you?
1-2 is the runway to land on.
Yeah. Little lost.
And then orient this to the runway here, 1-2, right? Set your picture. Yeah, that's after. Yeah. Yeah, let's get a wind check.
Now you see the split here? You see that little split? That little.
This is Captain's Bay right here.
No, Captain's Bay is right up there.
Okay, gotcha.
This is Wide Bay, Broad Bay. Now, you see
Devilfish
that
Point
little-
ahead.
Yeah, hit for that. That is the approach path for a circle to land inside the 30.
Okay.
Now you're watching the water. It's telling you what kind of turbulence you got in here. Wind's coming from the right a little bit.
Mike, just about how you be coming into?
Yeah, well, over here if I was going to circle 30, but I wouldn't do that today.
No,
Yeah,
normally.
yeah, right down here,
Right to the wall.
and you're about 600. He's just right. He's just right here.
We're gonna get slammed between the rocks here.
Huh? No.
Passing Devilfish Point.
Just kind of hit on that. Okay, you're going to get a little turbulence off this rock, okay?
At Arch Rock, 650 feet MSL. Gear down, landing check, and flaps 15. Ahead, just beyond the bridge, is a bright orange roof. Use this as a reference to get drift and track information on downwind. Passing over the bridge. Flaps 25 or 30 depending on ground speed and profile adjustments. As you start your turn to final, there's a hill on your left side at 200 feet MSL. Use it as a pylon and proceed over the city or shoreline. Flaps 40, landing check complete. Activate runway lights by keying Mike 7 times on 122.6.
Now you would go around a little bit.
On final over Rocky Point at 200 feet. On target on the Vazzy. Touchdown, speed brakes, 2 lights. 1.6 target EPR for reverse, calling out 100 knots, 80 knots, and 60 knots. Cancel runway lights by keying Mike twice. Contact Cold Bay Radio to cancel flight plan. ATC available on the ground at 124.4. Escape out Ilialiuk Bay VFR or over runway 30 out Wide Bay and Unalaska Bay. This is a normal left-hand departure on runway 12.
Stable. Okay, stable.
Set max power, N1's check. Airspeed alive both sides. V1. VR. V2. Positive rate, gear up. At 50 feet altitude, execute a 15-degree left bank turn out Ilialiuk Bay. Ulakta Head will pass on your left.
What do we call this mountain right here? It's split down. Okay, good. What do we call this thing right off the left side of Kevin's shoulder? What's this one up ahead? That's Split Top Mountain. That's Split. This is New Hall Creek over here.
This is Split Top over here.
That's right. Got it. back on course. I got it. Start switching. We're on. Landing gears up and off. The flaps are 10, 160.
10 and 160.
And I've got the bleacher reconditioned.
Okay, thank you. We could go with it.
Okay.
We'll send approach when you're ready, Mike.
Okay. We're gonna go straight.
Proceed on a 316 heading to intercept the 346-degree bearing outbound. Maintain VFR until on the 346-degree bearing. Climb to 7,000 feet, then turn on course.
10 DME, yes? Right out there somewhere. We'll let him go in first. All right, what's this point right out here?
If the wind is out of the south or southwest, there may be turbulence going out Iliuliak Bay. To avoid this, execute a right turn over the city on departure and proceed out Broad Bay, then Wide Bay on the 346-degree bearing, climbing outbound to 7,000 feet, then turn on course. This is a normal departure on runway 30.
Okay, we're stable.
Set max power, N1's check. Airspeed alive both sides. V1, VR, V2, positive rate, gear up. After rotation, climb to 50 feet. Once clear of the bluff, simply turn right to intercept the 346-degree bearing, climbing outbound to 7,000 feet, then turn on course.